Welcome, guys, to Classic Culture. We have the king of natural bodybuilding, I would say, the young boy AJ Morris. Finally, we get to meet you in person here, and John Lofthouse, not IFBB Pro, because you don't like it, right?
Nah, go on. Tim Cycle said it was all right, so you can call me IFBB.
IFBB Pro, classic physique. My friend John Lofthouse and myself, the Dictator. Thank you guys for watching here. We have a lot of good stuff coming today in terms of subjects. A lot of questions for you, AJ. It's going to be a little bit overwhelming, maybe.
Okay, I'm ready for it.
Oh, fantastic!
Interrogating.
First of all, thank you for coming on our show, and I'm sure you're a busy guy. I know a lot of people you train and a lot of people you coach. I've heard good stuff about you. We didn't get the pleasure to meet in person before. But it's going to be good fun here, guys, having you both debating a lot of stuff that has been hanging off, the shelves on the bodybuilding scene in the UK.
Yeah, sure. I mean, guys, I appreciate you having me on. Really appreciate it. So,
right.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to do these podcasts, and I appreciate you willing to take on board my opinion on things.
Of course, the young guns, I always call them, the upcoming guys. I want to hear from them a lot. I mean, John, I always considered you
I'm young.
I always considered you part of the young guns as well. And it's your opinions matter a lot because where bodybuilding is heading today, we need to accept. I'm a veteran now. I'm 40 years old. So I need to learn from you guys and accept where bodybuilding is heading, but also have my influence on, trying to bring back the qualities of back then to today, and have something completely different to give out to the crowd.
Yeah, for sure.
How old are you, AJ?
I'm 24.
24.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, so I last competed when I was 21, so I've taken 2 years off since then. So now, I'm now out of the junior class and into the men's open classes this year. That's the sort of the step up that I've made within that 2 year off season has been solely derived to step up in terms of that level of muscle within the natural bodybuilding scene.
Yeah, I think that's cool because a lot of guys, I took a year off back in 2018, and it sort of ultimately ended up being 2 years, like from show to show, from 2017 to 2019. It was like 2 years. And I don't see a lot of people doing that now. I see a lot of people wanting to push to be open class bodybuilders and even classic guys, because, like IFBB weight limit in classics pretty heavy. Yeah. But nobody wants to take the time off. They just want to keep competing. And I admire anyone who's got the balls to sort of step back and know that when they step back into it, they're going to do damage,
Yeah. When's the last time you competed, John?
Well, I competed 2019, isn't it?
Oh. Yeah.
I got.
That's when you got the pro card, right?
Yeah, I got the pro card in September. Yeah, but before that, I took a year off. So I won the 2017 UK British finals, UK BFF British, and then I took the whole of 2018 off, and then went again in August of 2019.
Yeah, nice.
I was going to take a year off before I'd done my first pro show. It's only James who's coaching me now has told me not to because of the business side of things. He thinks I should get involved, do my first show, and then if I still want to take a year off, decide then. But he thinks
personally, I wouldn't advise any new athlete with an endorsement contract to take time off, just because you need to put your face out there, and it's really important that you serve the contract that you signed. Yeah. So it's really important, guys, to realize that taking time off. And sorry, guys, I can hear myself. For some reason I can hear myself backwards.
How better?
You sound all right, man.
Yeah, no, but I just can hear myself again. But it's all good. It's very important that you guys need to realize that the passion is a passion, but then there's another side, which is the business side, that you need to fulfill as well as. But then obviously, again, you don't want to take your body down down that route where it wouldn't respond to anything at some point, and you're just going to have to break down and just take a longer time off after, and then losing your contracts and everything.
Yeah.
So,
what contract are you in, John? If you're willing to share.
I'm just with Old School Labs at the minute.
Okay.
They want me to. Well, I'll be fair. They're cool. You say about keeping up with your contracts and stuff, but I'll be honest. They're not really too fussed. You know, they just support me. When I first spoke to them, they said, "Am I going to compete?" And I said that I was going to, but they're not really too fussed. I mean, I don't think I'm in a big. Like, I wouldn't say I'm in any kind of endorsement. You know, you know, I'm not that big an athlete that like.
It'll come. I mean? It'll come.
I think the whole bodybuilding. Obviously, I'm relatively new to the bodybuilding scene in the grand scheme of things. Like, I started bodybuilding in 2014, so only just over half a decade. And I'm aware that the contract situation in the past, like with old school bodybuilders, Jay, Ronnie, even Phil as well, to an extent, like the contracts were completely different back in the day, weren't they? For like the top bodybuilders.
Yeah,
completely. I mean, we were looking at you know, $1 million, you know, contract.
7 figures.
You know, it was a good way to make a living out of the sport. On top of that, you had the Weider contract. On top of that, you had the clothing contract. This was all cash money.
Yeah.
Nowadays, it's gone to a completely different a route. I would say a completely different route.
I don't think it's like that now, because obviously we have our own platform, we have social media and stuff like that. So back then they're relying on shows to get that sort of exposure in the media and stuff, to sell products, etc., through the magazines and that. But now we don't have that. You know, we have social media. We all have our own platforms to sell. You know, so I don't think sort of you know, how many times you're going to compete a year is necessarily going to be in the deal, because I don't think it's even needed. Because at the end of the day, they're only bothered about selling products, aren't they? That's that, right?
Yeah.
I don't really care whether you compete or not, to be honest.
AJ, do you have a contract with JP, as in the nutrition side?
So yeah, actually, like, when is this going out?
I was going to put it out Monday.
Okay, that's cool. It'll be announced by then. So yeah, I have the moment, like right now, I have just launched the clothing side of things, because I was with A-List Nutrition for supplements. But Jordan offered me the full contract literally like this time last week. So we've just been going over a few little things and sorting some things. So yeah, I'm very, very blessed and very grateful to have that kind of opportunity, because Jordan, the whole Trained by JP kind of crew, has been someone I've looked up to since like 2015, when one of my friends called Elliot, who was training at like my commercial gym that I trained at in Brighton cause I'm from Brighton, I live in Yorkshire now. Yeah, I've just been looking up to them for so long. So for me, having an affiliation like that in terms of a contract or an agreement for supplements, clothing, whatever, it's more a case of just me matching my brand identity with a company. So like, John, I think you've got the exact same thing. You know, you've matched your brand identity with a company, and that's kind of what social media does now. If you do it right, then you match and you click perfectly well. And then that, as a sort of situation, that's a mutually beneficial setup. So again, with Jordan, it's a case of, like, he doesn't really want much. He doesn't want me to like blast up the product every day or take a picture of my ass with a BCAA tub on it or something like that. Like, it's none of that kind of shit. It's just like, be you, be real, and wear the clothing when you pull a good RDL or something like that. You know, it's a relaxed setup. And obviously coming on board as a full contracted athlete will mean that I get my own content on his site as well, which I think will be...
That'll be cool.
That's very good.
That'll be really exciting, because, and again, like, I feel crazy blessed and grateful to be able to be like the first drug-free athlete to be featured in that kind of way on the site. Because I didn't know whether that was something he ever wanted. I always would have loved to have been in this situation, but I didn't know whether he'd ever want that. Like, I didn't know whether he wanted someone that was a drug-free athlete on there, because I didn't know whether that was his niche. But
yeah,
the processes are so similar that it doesn't not make sense to have someone there.
No, of course.
The processes. I think it's all the same. I don't think.
I mean,
ask me the differences. I can see you got a question. Go on, ask.
I do. It's an actually very interesting question, because it got raised as you were talking, AJ. Do you think it was a more of a marketing strategy? I mean, all respect to JP. I mean, I don't know the person. I don't know him personally. We've said hello to each other millions of times. I don't know him personally, but obviously I respect his work. Do you think it was more of a marketing strategy in his head to bring on a natural athlete, knowing that? I mean, look, JP. Looking at JP today, and in every picture, the guy looks jacked. The guy looks completely like he looks like from another planet,
Belgium,
you know. And that's the picture of JP Nutrition and JP Clothing. And obviously he's got most of his guys are quite large guys. I would call them mass monsters mainly. I mean, do you think it was a marketing strategy to bring someone like yourself with a good following on social media as well?
I think he's very smart. I think he's a very smart dude. He's not just got a bodybuilding mind, but he's got a very good business mind as well. You know, he wouldn't have what he has now unless he's just as relentless with business as he is with bodybuilding. And I know that through obviously like spending time with Cuba and getting to know Jordan from Cuba a little bit more, because Cuba and Jordan are really, really close.
Yeah.
And so I think, yes, it was probably a marketing move in the sense that he knew that bringing a little bit of a fresh vibe to the site and something different. And obviously he knows that there's a lot of naturals and drug-free athletes that do follow him and also follow the principles that the JP puts out there. But again, it's like trying to sort of span into that niche a little bit more heavily with having me on there, having me talk about my processes and things like that I think could be really, really beneficial. And obviously, as soon as he offered it, I was more than happy to play a part in that because it's a good thing.
Fantastic. It's interesting because I always thought that JP will never have someone who's natural. And when I saw you obviously being on his team, and I was like, okay, that's a very smart move.
Yeah, I think
very smart move.
He's a smart dude, man. He's going to diversify. If he wants the business to grow, he can't stay in that sort of hole of mass monster UK bodybuilding. If he wants to diversify, he's going to have to.
But John, do you think, for example, like you're a classic physique, and Jordan obviously now has, you know, bodybuilders from every division.
Guys, does he?
I don't think he does.
He has Jimmy and he has that Louis Moulin in the group.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I wasn't aware. That's where the question was going. So if JP was to offer you a contract, would you accept it?
That's a horrible question.
Respectfully, it would be one that I'd have to think about, you know. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't know what. It depends what you're offered, doesn't it? Because I know JP's doing a lot of good thing. I've said on my recent YouTube videos that I really need to learn proper English. A lot of the words that coming out of my mouth don't make sense.
You're from Essex, that's why.
Yeah. I know personally, and a few people that are with JP, and I know he's offering good contracts and even offering money and stuff like that. So, like, I don't know, it would depend, wouldn't it? It depends what the offer was, and if there's enough, and by the sounds of it, there is, if there was enough freedom to sort of market yourself as your own individuality within his brand, you know, because I don't fit his brand with the whole, everybody knows, like, the whole push-pull legs things, upper, lower, like, not that I'm against it, but everybody knows that's not me. I have my own way of doing stuff, and it's like what AJ said. I probably wouldn't know if I would fit within his brand, you know. But then again, JP, like a lot of us, is, you know, is open-minded enough to sort of understand that he needs to diversify. So I don't know. It would depend on a lot of different things, because I know I don't fit that JP scene. Brand. I just don't, you know. And it's nothing against JP. I, you know, respect everything he's done, but I know I don't fit it. He's
the type of person that would have someone like you on the team, and instead of saying that everything you do is not right, he just question it in a really smart way. That's what he's always done with, like, anyone that sort of doesn't go quite by how he does things. Just asks really good questions, and then sometimes it makes the other end think. And then think, oh, maybe I should try that. Or it makes him think, I should try that. Yeah. So he's a really, really good critical thinker.
Yeah, and that's the coolest thing, I think. I think it would be wrong to say to anyone that you're doing something the wrong way if they've clearly gotten results, you know?
Yeah, agreed.
I just do things a little different. I'm just a bit more of a bro split. You know, I've always done that. But it works for me. But you say that, but essentially the way I set up my split, I still hitting every body part twice within sort of every 8 days. It's like
similar.
It's all the same. It's all roughly the same.
Okay. Speaking of the splits and the pull push whatever, AJ. I mean, obviously you're still young, all right, and you have a lot of young people around you who look up to you, and here what we're seeing is that a lot of heavy lifting happening in the gym because obviously, I mean, you guys follow what JP's style is, and you adapt to JP's style, and I mean, obviously, I've seen a lot of people criticize, heavy deadlifts and RDLs, and the waist started to look thick.
Okay.
And then obviously because of the push pull, a lot of people are saying those guys look like they train, push pull lower body because their arms are very stringy. They look very thick. The lower thick back, huge legs, no arms. So what's your answer to this?
Yeah, so I'm gonna actually start the answer with saying that I actually agree with the arm comment, because
yeah!
I've always struggled with my arms, struggled with my arms, and I was always in the mindset and the thought process of that an arm day is wrong. Like, I'm not at the level to have an arm day yet. I don't need an arm day. I'm not experienced enough. I don't have enough muscle to have an arm day. But I just think I was wrong the whole time, really, with that, because for the last 5 months, I started it about the last 3 months of my off season. I've been doing arm days, and they look different. Mate, they look very different.
Your arms have come up, man. 100%.
Thanks, bro.
A lot.
Yeah, I mean, the arm day itself, it doesn't take long. It doesn't really take anything away from your day. You know, it's not really like a training day, really. No, like, it's it's something you can get done in 40 minutes max, really, if you superset and you go buy try, and the feeling you get after the arm day compared to just tagging them on at the end of push or pull, completely different.
It's way different. Oh man, I'm so glad that you've said this.
Look, this debate was going on for a while.
I've spoken to so many guys who are pretty sort of hardcore push-pull legs, upper low and all that, and I have nothing against it. But I have like a few months back, I trained with Tim Cycles, and he spoke about, and this is something we've openly spoke about, He said that he wanted to bring his arms up, but he's doing like I think he was doing upper lower body days.
Upper lower, yeah.
And I just didn't feel that the arm work that he done was enough. It was like one part, I can't remember, so don't quote me on it, but it kind of been no more than sort of one working set for buys and tries. Just one working set for buys and tries, couple warm-ups in each. And I was just like, it just doesn't make sense to me, because I know what an arm day feels like, Hitting like, I'll hit sort of 3 exercises each side, four sets, build up, and I'll train arms just as crazy as I train other stuff, with sort of ISO holds and partials and all that sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't understand where it comes from, where people would say, like, you don't warrant enough muscle to have an arm day yet. Like you said, you used to think that, but you changed your mind. Yeah. Like, what changed your mind?
Good question. That's a very good question, actually.
Yeah. For me, it came down to the fact that even though I didn't have enough total muscle in my head, I thought that I didn't have enough total muscle in my head.
Yeah.
The issue wasn't that. It was the fact that still the balance of the physique was not where it needed to be because of the lack of arms.
Yeah.
So I was never going to get to an amount of muscle where I'd have been like, oh, okay, now you have enough. But your arms are just total trash.
Yeah,
so like I was either going to put in the arm day or leave my arms in the dirt, basically, and just try and just progress everything else.
Yeah.
So for me, that was sort of the wake up call. And I think it came to sort of like midway point in my off season. I was like, they really haven't improved. They just don't look any better.
Yeah.
And I believe it was a conversation that me and Cuba had. We were just like throwing it about. about the idea of like where I could tag them on another day or something like that. And I think we just came up with the idea that I should just come in and do 30 minutes on them, just superset everything. And I was also looking through a lot of like natural bodybuilding logs of bodybuilders that I follow that either compete in the past or compete still now, and they used to log on forums, and I just read like as much as I could about how they were setting up their training, and a lot of the best naturals did set up with push-pull legs or something similar with low volume, high intensity. But then I was reading more and more times, like later in their career, they started adding like arm days or arms and shoulders, like just bringing bits out and focusing on them a little bit more. So I think even, to be honest, like the first time I did it, I noticed a difference. I know this sounds like really bro sciencey, but I noticed a difference within like 2 weeks. The inflammation, like the cellular inflammation that I had from just training them, made them look just bigger. And then if I don't do them for a week, I notice they look smaller. So, and that's just inflammation, but I want some inflammation on stage if it's going to make them look bigger.
Definitely. Well, you lose that volumization, don't you?
And
it's like, and I've also seen this with guys who sort of typically favor, upper lower push pull leg stuff, is when it comes to getting dialed in. This might not have been something you've seen, but in some of the people I've seen, they don't have quite the same sort of like aggressive detail that some guys who I see do arm days do, like they don't have that crisp lines throughout. And we spoke about that with James, didn't we? Faisal, saying about like training legs brings more details out in the legs, and some people say it's not. It's just
intensity and
some people say, oh, it's just conditioning. It's just like it's just getting leaner. It's just getting leaner, but it's not just getting leaner, because, like we said, I'll say it again. You see guys back in the old school classic eras, Arnie and that, they were known. They did not push their legs like we do now, and they had grainy, hard, detailed upper torsos and then soft down below. And the only way you can do that is by not training hard enough.
Yeah,
so
it's a case of muscle density.
That's my other argument with the whole push-pull legs upper lower.
I have a very, very good question here, which is probably going to swerve us away from training. It just came to my head now. AJ, I mean, as natural bodybuilders, and obviously being young and coming into the trenches now, how do you choose what category to do in terms? I mean, obviously weight's weight, but do you guys also have like classic and weight categories or do you compete in a natural federation, or do you just do like PCA and IFBB like all of us?
Sure. So yeah, great question. So for anyone that doesn't know natural federations, the one that I compete with is the UK DFBA, and they're affiliated with a federation called the WNBF, which was actually a federation that Kai Green was a pro in, and Sean Clarida was a pro in as well when they were like 19, 20 years old, like super young, like crazy. Which just shows how when you see like a top tier natural and you don't think they're natural, it's just because they've got like elite genetics, and if they went assisted, they'd be probably at the Olympia. That's the levels of bodybuilding. But yeah, so I compete in the UK DFBA. Another great federation in the UK is the BNBF. So they're sort of the top two natural federations, and so yeah, you're on a level playing field, so to speak, as level as it can be, because there's no beating around the bush. Drug testing is a hard thing to master, especially at the amateur level of the sport. You're not going to test everyone at a show with a urine test. It's impossible. Well, the shows wouldn't run because there's not enough money to do it. And if you go to, like UK FBA, it's like they select, the winners all get urine tested, and then it's selective polygraphing. So you have a polygraph where you just basically tell them that you haven't taken gear. And I'm not too sure the legit aspect of that, but it is what it is. The urine test I'm a little bit more confident in. I think the polygraph just acts as a little bit of a deterrent for most people. Like they're like, I don't want to sit there and just be a lying bastard and go and compete and I'm assisted. It's just sad really if people do that. So in terms of classes, it's very, very easy in the male classes to pick where you're going to compete, because you just have literally, well, in the BNBF, you don't even have any options apart from whether you're a teen, a junior, or men's open bodybuilding. That's it. And if you're in the UKDFBA, you have the options of men's physique or bodybuilding, and that's it. So you don't have classic. The thing is, right? So classic, if you have a classic physique in natural bodybuilding, you're just going to do well. You're just going to be a good natural bodybuilder.
That was John's point the other day.
This is my point.
John's,
My point, my argument with classic physique is that there is no such thing as a classic physique, even though I do it. My argument is that if you have a classic physique, you just have a good physique. Like that's just what physique. Yeah, you just have a balanced, proportionate physique.
Yeah,
it's just what it should.
I don't think we should look at classic physiques generally as a division. I think a beautiful aesthetic physique is a classic physique in my eyes. So it could go anywhere. I mean, Cedric McMillan, he's got a beautiful classic, physique, and he competes in the Open. So, that's the kind of.
It annoys me when I hear Sean Ray sort of commenting or commentating bodybuilding shows, and he said, I can't remember, it was specifically, I think he was commentating on like Arash Abar, and they was going through some conversation, and then he was like, yeah, but this, these guys are classic physique competitors, they're not bodybuilders. And I was like, I was fuming, I see red. I was like, the same thing. I was like, even men's physique to a degree, it's like the same thing, but that maybe they just don't want to push it to the extent that the Open guys do with the food and the drugs and everything like that, Maybe it's a little bit different.
I think men's physique is a little different because of the legs.
A little different, yeah, it's a little different. But with classic physique and bodybuilding, I personally don't see a difference. That's just me.
I agree with you on that.
I don't see a difference. Men's physique, I'd say it's a little different because I know some guys who can have great physiques in men's physique, and they're just like
little top heavy or just yeah. Agreed on that for sure.
Classic physique and bodybuilding, I don't really differentiate anything, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I think in the natural scene, especially, we wouldn't have the advantage of being able to split it based on the fact that the guys are a little lighter. Yeah. Because or even height class, it would just create like way too much mess of sport. And I've been asked it by clients before, and people that have signed up for coaching say I want to compete naturally in classic physique, and well, just compete in bodybuilding, natural bodybuilding, and you'll just do just fine.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
I get this question a lot. I get people sending me pictures and stuff, asking me, people I don't know, asking me which, what class that they think I should compete. And I'm forever just saying to people, what class do you want to compete in? And they're like, no, I'm asking you, what do you think I should compete in? I'm like, if you're asking me what do you think you should compete in my mind, you haven't got the foundations of even why you want to compete. Like, what class do you like? What look do you like? Do you want to be a men's physique? Do you want to be classic? Do you want to be a bodybuilder? Like, what's your end goal? Or are you just so desperate to get on stage for whatever reason that you want me to pick a class for you, I think you should pick your end. You need to have a clear end goal. And I think that's why a lot of people just sort of wander through bodybuilding, not having a clear direction. Like, pick your end goal and then go for that. Don't be men's physique if you want to be a classic physique athlete.
See, I need to address one thing. I know a lot of people, and I was one of them back in 2010, 2009, 2010, is that you just diet down and you don't know where you're going to end up, all right, because of the weight. So my weight, and I used to do the UKBFF just like everyone else back then, and I dieted down to do intermediate under 90 kilos. So under 90, so I ended up being 84 in the morning. So 2 more kilograms, I could have been a classic. So I was lost between being a 90 kilo and a classic. This is where the problem was. So I was too slightly small for a 90 kilo intermediate, and I was obviously 2 kilos away from being classic, and I would have looked like a marathon runner. So I kind of understand when people say to you, where am I going to go? So I think the better answer would be diet down, see what you have. All right. Let's see you posing, let's see how you react to food and all that. And people don't realize that. Like, straight away, I want to jump into that category. I want to compete natural. Well, hold on for a second. Natural is a completely different ball game than what enhanced athletes, it is, because he might not be ready in 14 weeks like us. Think about it.
Probably won't.
You see what I mean? See, there you are. I mean, I do 20 weeks diet because I'm a fat fuck, but generally, I don't think if I was to do natural, I'll need to diet the whole year.
Maybe not, but I think there is a huge argument about the length of natural preps, and I think some of them are way too long.
How long do you do, man?
I will do for this show around about 24 weeks.
Mm.
And
this is awesome.
That will pull off about 30 to 35 pounds from my peak off-season body weight. And that's structured into losing faster at the start and a lot slower at the end.
Yeah.
I can't afford to rush at the end. Like the whole process for me right at the end of the prep is like protect, because I've got nothing. Like from a hormonal perspective, I'm in the gutters and I can't really protect anything that well. And from a food perspective, obviously that point I'm pretty low as well. So recovery capacity is low. So I have to lose steadily to ensure that I drop as little performance as possible and hold on to as much tissue as possible. But it's hard to structure it like that, because when you start losing fast at the start, you look like absolute dog shit, because you've gone from, you just gone from being like full and in okay off-season condition to then flat and in still the same condition pretty much, because you just had a fluid shift, and it's just awful. I hated the way that I looked. But once you get past that, it's all good. And about 24 weeks is usually what I do for the first show. And then after that, it could extend another up to a month potentially after that. But by that point, I'm hopefully done with dieting and I'm actually reversing the calories up, basically just trying to bridge the gap from the deficit to a maintenance level of calories. But you can't do that for very long as a natural, because you just start looking worse and worse and worse. The longer you try and hold stage conditioning, I mean, it's the same for you guys, to be honest. If you
it's similar, I'd
try
say.
and hold stage condition, it just looks worse.
Yeah. If
I
I tried to hold my condition, if I had like another show after the British finals I'd done, I would have looked worse. I think I just about held on for the British. I was running a fine line of looking like a marathon runner.
Well, that's what it is. I think what happens here is that you eat too much, you overspill, and you look like dog shit, as AJ says, and if you keep dieting, you end up stringy, and you don't know where that fine line in between. I mean, obviously, maybe we're still not at that level where we figured it out, because those guys, you've known athletes back in the 90s, even they used to compete every week for like 6 months, and they used to do the Grand Prix in Europe. It was like Finland, next week you got England, next week you've got Germany, and then they just keep going. It's like a tour, it's like a rock star touring. And how they keep their conditioning, I still haven't figured it out. I don't think anyone has figured it out until you're at that level.
I think genetics does come a bit into it.
100%.
I'd agree. Yeah.
With body fat, because everybody asks me about getting shredded glutes and stuff like that. Like, I've always had shredded glutes, and I'm like, I'm not gonna lie, man. I've always had it. Even in the off season, you can see lines in my glutes, and I don't know why. I mean, I train fucking hard. I know that, but I know a lot of guys who do train really fucking hard. I've trained with them, and I've vouched they train hard, but their glutes don't come in as sharp, Yeah. So I think genetics definitely does play quite a large role sometimes with body fat loss.
I'm just Middle Eastern. I have a fat ass.
I wasn't talking about you.
Yeah, I definitely don't have lines in my glutes in the off season. Fucking hell, no way.
But you got your glutes out though, didn't you? I know.
Oh,
I remember seeing you and you sort of struggling to get them sharp, and then you did. Was that just dieting?
Yeah. And this is the whole argument of natural bodybuilding. It's like I did get the glutes like lean enough for them to stand out amongst the pack in terms of on a junior bodybuilding stage, but it's like, did that come at the cost of a little too much muscle? And I'm not sure. I mean, obviously it was enough to do what I wanted to do and hit my goals within that year. But in another year, if there'd been someone that was a little less conditioned, but managed to keep a little bit more of their fullness and their shape by not chasing so much glute detail, then maybe they'd have beaten me, So it's a hard one to manage, but ultimately, like you've said, body fat sort of partitioning and the way that it's separated and and placed is very genetically influenced, and we can't really change that. The only thing you can do is obviously put more muscle in the areas where you're struggling to get lean. So for example, if you are struggling to get your glutes lean, if you get bigger glutes, the likelihood of you being able to get closer is higher, you know. I think the whole natural bodybuilding condition thing is a bit of an annoying thing sometimes as well. And this is something I've talked about at length on my podcasts with a guy who actually runs a natural bodybuilding federation in the UK. We talk a lot about it, and we've said how, you know, natural bodybuilding is considered to be, oh, you've got to have shredded glutes to like win a natural bodybuilding show. And I think that mindset is why a lot of people turn up at natural bodybuilding shows and don't look like bodybuilders anymore. They just look like someone who's basically competitively dieted and lifted weights for a little bit. And that's a problem. You know, you've got to be able to spend enough time building the density in the muscles so that when you do get down to like striated glutes level of condition, you look still like you've got muscle fullness and volume to your physique. And that's the physique I kind of like. I definitely don't like the scrawny kind of inside out but just depleted as shit physique. I just don't like that. I'm not a fan of it. So
you got to come in what's going to win the show, man.
You have and that's actually something that I've talked at length with Jordan about, because the first time I met him, again, he asked me a lot of questions. He asked me a lot of questions about what was my mindset to get into the condition and why I got into the condition I did in 2017, because he was interested as to how I disassociated myself with being big and just focused on getting as lean as possible. With obviously still holding muscle. You know, it's not like I said, I don't care how much muscle I lose, I've got to get shredded glutes. But I think Jordan and especially some bigger people do struggle with the idea of losing size and being smaller. And, you know, when clothes start to fit a lot looser, when you just feel a bit smaller in the gym, it's like for some of those guys that love strength and love power and feeling big, it is a struggle, I think. And it is a hard mindset shift to have. I know that Corin does a very good job at it, but then she struggles in the off season because she's very, very good at being able to get a load of body fat off, but then struggles. Well, in the past she doesn't anymore, but struggled a little bit to gain the weight needed because she's fine with staying around condition that means she has lines in her ass.
Of course.
That's exactly what I'm at.
Yeah.
So, see, every time you say something, I get more questions coming into my head. This is going to be like a 3-hour podcast now. The thing is, AJ, back in my days when we were young, every living in between America and the Middle East, we spoke about gear a lot. You know, like take some Dynaball, take some of that. We always spoke about it, and although it was a taboo subject, but we knew about it and we were daring to do it. Although I didn't take gear until I was 27. No one believes that, but that's the truth. But then, how about you now? You've got a lot of clientele, clients from the same age group as you, upcoming bodybuilders. Do you find then that now the mindset has changed, or the mentality has changed, that people want to do it naturally more, or do you still think that there's a big crowd out there that would say, you know what, I would take that, needle, and I'm okay with losing 5 years out of my life? Is there still something like that?
Yeah, there's a lot of people like that, to be honest. And I have clients that have gone that way because of exactly that reason, that the rationale behind going assisted is, one, their goals are within assisted bodybuilding, which makes total sense. But two, they're so motivated by their goals and that they want to chase them down so much that they don't care about the consequences. They'd rather live for 5 years less and live a life where they feel like they haven't chased down something that they want. Which to me does make sense. And if my goals were within assisted bodybuilding, I'd probably do the same thing. But I know, and like my circle knows around me, like how I would be if I went down that route. I wouldn't really care about the ramifications until maybe they happened, because I'm someone that just wants as much as possible out of life. And within natural bodybuilding, obviously I've set my goals extremely, extremely high, to the point where I'll just do whatever I need to do to get that goal. I don't really mind what it is. I'll just do it. So if then I apply that mindset and principle to assisted bodybuilding, that could maybe get me in a little bit of it. Well, it will take years off my life, because I know how hard I'd want to push it. Obviously, individual drug response and how people handle drug protocols is a huge influence on longevity. So like, someone might be able to handle a really heavy cycle, and someone might not be able to handle it at all. They might get huge side effects and ramifications out of it. I'm aware of that sort of inter-individuality within biological systems. Like I'm aware of all of those things, but still, for me, it's not something that just aligns with my goals. So for me, I don't think about it too much. And if anything, you know, when I chat to Cuba, he always tells me how I shouldn't bother.
I was going to say the same.
Cuba's of the exact same mindset of me. He's willing to do whatever. And, you know, I haven't spent a lot of time around him. I see what he has to do and what he has to deal with, and, you know, how in the peak of the off season, how he feels day to day. And I'm like, you know, in a way, as much as I would do all of those things to get to the goal, I'm kind of thankful that I don't have to deal with some of those things.
At the moment.
At the moment. Yeah. At the moment, my mindset is not to go down that route. But you could ask me in half a decade's time and things could change, you know, but
True.
At the moment, the plan is not to go down that route for the foreseeable future, at least.
Because John, you competed as a natural as well, right?
My first show was natural, yeah.
And you stayed natural for a long time before you decided to take that extra step to get into the pro ranks, obviously, and you knew that's the way to get in within decency, obviously.
Yeah, so I was of the mindset when I was younger that I wanted to be a pro bodybuilder. When I was like 17, 18, you know, it's when I started sort of doing blood and guts training and copying cargo and everything like that. And I was like, that's it. I want to be a bodybuilder. But as soon as that goal was sort of, you know, that goal was in my mind, I sort of realized that I couldn't get there because I didn't want to take the amount of drugs because if I was going to do it, I wanted to be the best, right? We all have this mindset. Anyone who's, you know, does one bodybuilding, you have that mindset. You want to be the best. So I was like, so if I'm going to do it, I want to be the best. And if I've got to be the best, then I'm going to have to take this amount of drugs, and I don't want to do that. Like, I'm just not going to do that. I didn't necessarily want to be that big. I didn't want to be Jay Cutler size. I didn't want to be Kyle Green size, but I wanted to be Arnold size, but be a champion. But I knew that couldn't happen because bodybuilding had developed so much that physique was now not going to cut it in the top rank. So then I I continued bodybuilding naturally because I thought, what's the fucking point, you know? And then when I was 23, it's when the classic class sort of was shown to me. I didn't know about it, and then done my first show naturally, done well there, and then I decided to go for it, and that I was going to take it all the way.
No, absolutely. The reason why I asked this question to both of you, and it you know, the question raised itself, but it's because I wanted to show our listeners, our you know, whoever's watching, it wasn't about it wasn't about the drug. It's about what you guys are like. You guys now are up to a very good, successful journey, a good, successful career, and I wanted people to see that. You guys didn't have the mindset. It was like, okay, where's the needle now? You guys had a vision.
To get massive. Do
you see what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of the guys walk into the gym. Right, mate. What do you think I should take? I mean, dude, you can't even lift half your body weight. All right. So once you get those, there's a lot of boxes to tick.
Yeah, but a lot of them guys, their goals are just dictated by sort of modern society that they want to look good. And
most probably, you know, I can't speak for everyone else, but most probably it is. And especially the youngsters that are daring to do stuff. Yeah. You know, we always used to say, you know, young and dumb, you know, but then I never did it. You never did it. AJ is still natural. So, you know, we have a very strong point to prove that you can get somewhere naturally, you know, preparing yourself here before and then the body will follow, you know.
People still can't get their head around it when I say I haven't taken Tren. I'm like, they just don't believe it. They don't believe what you can achieve naturally, you know. And then that's when I have done in the past. I've literally got up pictures of AJ. I've got pictures of me in my first competition. I have, and I've shown people. I'm like, look, this is what you can achieve with nothing, you know. Stop believing that it takes all this gear to get just somewhat muscle. Like, people don't believe it.
Shall we go through some questions?
Yeah, do it.
From the crowd, huh? All right, the first question's to John. All right. It's like, John, when are you going to get a fucking haircut?
Never. It's getting long, man.
That is long.
I have accepted it.
Well,
Yeah, I've just kept the hat on for the most of the lockdown, to be honest.
Is it long? Is yours long?
Yeah, it's pretty long on the top, yeah.
oh,
It's messy as fuck, to be honest.
Yeah,
you guys are going for the boy band look.
I'm not cutting it off. I'm not getting rid of it. I'm just going to trim the sides up. I'm going to keep it now. I'm used to it.
That's what I'm thinking as well, because it kind of stands out a little bit on stage when you have a bit of hair.
Yeah, man, it does.
Short sides, a little bit of slick back, like.
Yeah, definitely.
The old Jay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love Jay's haircuts, man.
Jay had a sick haircut.
Yeah.
I tried to do it once, but it didn't. My hair.
You know what? I even liked his haircut after when he made a comeback. You know, when he grabbed the trophy again. I loved that hair. You know, that flame coming out of his head.
I just love Jay. I want to marry him. Everything that he speaks is sense.
Yeah.
He's so wise.
he is really fucking wise.
Oh,
that's why he's so successful, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Question number 2. For AJ, being a natural bodybuilder, do you ever get accused of taking drugs?
I haven't really, not massively yet, to be honest. I think the only situations in which I've got any people accusing me is either behind my back and I don't know about it, which maybe happens, or a specific lift that I've done that's particularly strong.
Yeah, you're fucking strong, man. Sorry to interrupt. It was in my head. You're fucking strong, man. You did 180 for 12 the other day.
On what movement? Squats or something?
Sorry, yeah, squats.
Yeah,
I'm a big squat man. Man, you're fucking strong.
Thanks, mate. I've always been pretty strong on legs and pull, not so much push, and that kind of shows in my physique, to be honest, as well. But yes, it's mainly like a few lifts that I've done, and people have maybe said a passing comment, but nothing serious. I don't think. Yes, I think maybe this year when I start posting up pictures of me like all the way shredded, maybe I'll start to get a few, just because I'll have maybe enough muscle to start to question people a little bit. But when I was a junior, I looked like a natural, you know. And if you meet me in person, like, there is no way you'll think that I'm assisted, you know. I just look like a natural bodybuilder. And I'm fine with that. I'm not bothered. But yeah, I think some people that are like shockingly big, that's when maybe they get accused, or they have really good shape and they put up stage photos with really good shape, really good condition and muscle fullness, and then some of those people start to second guess them, especially when they're good photos. But yeah.
I've got loads more since I sent them to you. I've had loads of people message me.
But I have a question for you, John. Now
I'll do it. Okay.
It says you're a heavy squatter. Have you ever had to stop during a set to take a shit?
During a set?
No.
Like, why the fuck would anyone ask this?
No, it's a stupid fucking question. No.
Oh my god.
I've a squat before.
Huh? Yeah, that's common.
That's very common, man. Leg press, everything.
No, I've never stopped. Mid set.
Mid set.
Oh god, like 1, 2. All right, I need to shit now.
I'm trying to, at the minute with my squatting, I'm trying to imitate a workout that I saw Tom Platts do on YouTube. It was a really old video he done I think he done 30 reps of 30 reps of 140, 20 reps of 140, 30 reps of 100. And I literally just done it the other day. And I've been chasing that workout, no shit, for 3 years since I saw that. I'm like, I want to do just that workout. Like, I want to hit, that workout, and I've just done it a few days ago. I don't know why I'm getting in there and bragging, but I just wanted to say that.
What's the rest periods? Does he rack it and then wait for a bit, or?
Just like a few minutes, just as long as I'm training with my partner. By the time she's done, it's a minute and go. So it's like 30 reps of 140. A few minutes, 20 reps of 140. I probably had a couple more in the bag, to be honest, but I just wanted to copy that workout.
Copy the numbers in.
Yeah.
Should have video that.
Huh? I can't.
Don't let it get too easy.
Secret location. I will video it. I'm looking forward to starting filming a lot more training and stuff.
Absolutely. AJ, we have a question for you, which is actually the guy actually, in the beginning of the question, he actually wrote help with capital letters and an exclamation mark, saying anxiety before shows.
Okay.
So he needs help, man.
What, he suffers with anxiety, obviously, before a show.
Yeah.
Sure. So I think for him, it really comes down to a case of trying to understand what's triggering the anxiety. Is it the show itself, or is it something else that's going on in his life? If it is the show, then you need to start to try and shift the show out of your mind and create sort of, a vision of it, and start to place yourself there and imagine it a little bit more, and create stability with your mindset, so that you can experience the show, like the stage itself and the experience, without feeling overwhelmed, because you've been there in your own head. Also, little things like trying to get into a little bit of meditation, that can help massively in terms of mitigating anxiety. Even some supplements like ashwagandha can help massively with anxiety symptoms. So maybe double dosing ashwagandha prior to the stage, or a couple of days out, or whatever. But I think it's pretty normal to experience a little bit of it when you're getting ready for a show and you care a lot about the result. And obviously, if it's your first time as well, the actual element of getting on stage in your trunks is a little bit nerve-wracking. But talk to people about it. Don't just hold it in. Just talk to your circle, talk to your friends, and that should be the best tips I can give.
Yeah. I think a lot of the time it will come just with a bit of experience as well, innit? I think, like you say, a lot of the time, I think a lot of first sort of second shows that people do because they're going to get a bit of anxiety.
I send my guys to bodybuilding shows on purpose, for them to get used to the atmosphere. So what I do is, for example, if my clients or my athletes competing in 6 weeks and there's a show next week, I'll tell them, let's go watch the show. It's going to be really cool. I won't tell them obviously why we're there, but I'll just point out a few things for him here and there and make him feel comfortable. And, look how cool this is. Look how this guy's enjoying himself on stage. And by the way, when the lights are on you, you don't see anyone in the crowd. So you're just alone out there. So they feel like, okay, no one, if I can't see anyone, that means no one can see me. Do you understand? Like, they get into this kind of mentality. I think it worked a few times, but let's see. I get nervous myself. All right. Another question. How to set NTD nutrition for someone with low appetite, i.e. higher fat, low carbs, for AJ?
Yeah, I mean, that might work for some people. Alternatively, it might not work. The higher fats might blunt digestion, and to the point where they actually feel fuller. So just play about with it. It's very personal preference. And I have a lot of clients that sort of struggle with the element of eating a lot of carbohydrate dense meals on a rest day when the food gets really high and they feel like tired or sleepy after eating them. Just because obviously blood glucose at that point starting to get something that you need to look and manage. So just having a few meals in the morning, maybe up to meal 3, that you keep sort of carb free, tends to help a little bit with that. And therefore you can get in more fats just to obviously get your calories in. So yeah, that's the way that I would set things up, alongside maybe doing a little bit of not an extended, but a little bit of a fast in the morning, just to try and raise your appetite levels, maybe go for a short walk. Obviously, you don't want to burn off the calories you're trying to get back in and have to eat more. But those are sort of some basic things that I would do with a client in that situation.
What would you do, John, if a client has no appetite?
If a client had no appetite?
Yeah.
Similar to what AJ said, it's like with everybody's different, isn't it? Like sometimes I get clients and they're sort of, like you say, blunted appetite, and just reducing the fats will just pick up that appetite straight away, you know? But then some clients I have the opposite. Some clients don't really like tolerating the carbs, so it is just person dependent. With myself, I've always been set up that I don't differ too much, to be honest, from non-training day and training day. To be honest, over the years that I've done it, I have done that. Like I've done carb cycling and all sorts of stuff. And
yeah,
I'll be fair, I just keep everything the same now. I just find it's better for me just to keep. I'm now keeping cardio in every day as well, not aggressively or anything like that. Just light cardio, and I just keep all my days the same. I've actually found that for me of recent to be the most beneficial, just keeping every day the same, to be honest. The only difference between training and non-training day for me at the minute is training.
Yeah. I mean, I leave cardio at all times for all my clients. I actually leave cardio.
I do it just
competing or no competing.
Now,
even if you're a skinny guy, you're new, you've never done anything, I'd still keep the cardio, not only because of the metabolism and everything. I just want people to actually get into the lifestyle of what's going to happen later. Get them prepared now, because later on when there's no cardio and then they feel, okay, I'm eating and I just feel comfortable. As soon as you put the cardio there, like, what the hell's going on here? I feel tired now. So I just keep the cardio in generally, but obviously the levels of cardio just differ from time to time.
Yeah.
We have a question here. AJ, best way to tackle stubborn fat with bad genetics? That's quite a hard question, because it's really difficult, right?
Yeah, I mean, everyone will have stubborn areas, and areas that you struggle to get lean, get body fat off. There are ways as a natural that you can try and target those areas. You can use your him bean based creams on those body parts, like Burn is a good one.
It works.
I've used it on a few female clients last year, and it brought in their glutes and their hamstrings, which I had a few like masters female clients which had a little bit of cellulite in their glutes and hams, and it definitely brought them in better than their previous shows. Downside of it is burns like fuck, so
it does. I've used it once.
It really doesn't feel too comfortable when you have to
I have a few here actually. I was using it not long ago.
Yeah. So there is also like Lyle McDonald, if you've not heard of him. He has a stubborn fat loss protocol, which is kind of similar. It involves, doing fasted cardio with your him bean, but also doing a cardio bout that is targeted on the area of the stubborn fat. So for example, if you have stubborn glutes, you do the stairs.
Stairmaster, stepper. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, there's a few things that you can do, but ultimately the process of fat loss is pretty understood. If you want to lose fat off any area, you just keep losing fat. And that's the most simple way to understand it. Unfortunately, some areas will just come slower than others.
See, I know John's answer to this, but it's really intrigued. I'm really intrigued to hear again.
Do you know my answer? I'm not sure.
I know your answer to this, because John is the type of guy. I mean, I've known John for like over a year now, and he's the kind of guy that if you have fat on your ass, you fucking squat to the ground and you drive up with your butt, and that would trigger the fat cells on that area to actually stimulate. A lot of the stuff that we do from the old school guys, we actually believe, which kind of went away for a while. We do believe that stubborn areas of fat, by training them, it does stimulate the area to speed up the process of burning that fat in the area. Okay, it went away. Oh, you can't have when you train your abs, you don't actually burn the fat over. It's the diet. Fair enough, but there's a shape underneath it that actually, it becomes visible after a while, and it does actually trigger that area to stimulate the fat to leave. But I'm not sure. Did you have the same answer? Because I wasn't sure.
No, I was just going to say keep dieting.
Keep dieting until you look like Mo Farah.
No, I think I think the lower abdominal is a little bit different, isn't it? I think a lot of people who say they can't get the glutes and hamstrings out, I do think it's a training issue.
Yeah.
That's mostly coming from people that I've seen in my own gym, though, like in person. Like they say they can't get certain areas in, and I see they just don't train hard enough. Whether that's prevalent to everybody, it's probably not. There's different scenarios, but lower body fat, that dude probably just needs to keep dieting.
Yeah.
I got one
John,
question.
Go on.
And then we can start wrapping up because I'm hungry.
Me too.
Right. Because it just got sent in. I've actually had about 20 questions sent in the last hour. You must be popular, AJ.
Oh, that's nice.
Well, I'm not going through them all because most of them we've basically covered. But this one's pretty cool. I don't know if we've gone through this one. We'll see. Do you think being assisted or unassisted should affect how you set up your programming? Training, I'm guessing.
No. Simple answer, no. Obviously, volume thresholds will be slightly different. So your ability to recover might be influenced by whether you're assisted or non-assisted. But then again, there's some naturals that have, again, the inter-individuality between the nervous system is vast. So some people's nervous systems can recover from absolute beating. Like there's kids that can pull off the floor 3 times a week, rack pull, RDL, deadlift, and still go in and progress a squat 3 days later, 2 days later. There's some anomalies out there, and whether that's influenced by their environment or their genetics, it's probably both. But your training program should always just be you. It shouldn't be you assisted or you natural or whatever. Obviously, I train with Cuba and with Jimmy, and we run very, very similar volume. Like Cuba sometimes does a little less just because he uses a little more load on most things, and therefore the tax on his nervous system is a little greater. So he can sometimes recover from a little less than what I can. But other than that, our training is so similar. And I think more people just need to realize that volume across the board, as long as you're training very hard, will be very similar because people have similar recovery capacities.
Yeah, I don't think you should be doing anything different from assisted to unassisted. No. Depends how hard you freaking train as well. I think some people are capable of producing way more intensity than others,
And accuracy. Accuracy is a huge thing as well. You can train hard, but you can also train incredibly non-accurately, and you can just get no stimulus.
100%.
I don't believe that when people say, "Oh, I'm natural, so I overtrain." I usually go around and say to them, "I think you undereat. It's not overtrain." If your recovery, periods are being dealt with in the correct way, I think you're just as good as any enhanced one, if not better.
Yeah, I mean, true overtraining is incredibly hard to reach.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
You reach true overtraining, like there's potential you could be in hospital.
Myself and James Hollingshead, we both had this problem. I trained with this guy right here, with John. We did a leg workout in front of a camera, and I was on deficit like for a few days, and obviously we had to arrange that day because it worked good for both of us. After that, I had I couldn't sleep. I started everything comes out, like everything I eat comes out. It's like I came to a stage where I would be so exhausted, I would want to fall asleep, but I'd get cold sweats and I would stand up again and not be. It's like I'm trying to sleep, but something's waking me up. So I contacted one of the guys who used to be a coach for James Hollingshead, and it says James Hollingshead had this problem shooting a video with JP. Yeah. And basically, say that again.
It's just fatigue, and that's how I feel.
It's complete fatigue. But what happened is that I put an injection of B complex to obviously try to get my nervous system back to its norm-ish, and my body actually rejected the B complex, being obviously a water-based injection, and this is the abscess right here.
Sure.
It created an abscess. My body rejected everything, food, supplements, obviously here. And now a lot of people would say, "Oh, what did you put in there?" Believe me, guys, it's B complex. Believe me, it's B complex. My body just didn't want to take anything. So it could happen. It could happen, but and you wouldn't know when.
No.
You know. Oh my God! It was a horrible time though. Horrible. I was just about to compete. 3 weeks out or something. 4 weeks out.
Yeah, that's probably why it happened. To be honest, is because you were also very suppressed from a body composition standpoint.
Yeah.
Common.
Do you have any questions, John?
I've got too many questions that there's no point going through them all.
We can have AJ back in.
Huh? Pardon?
I think we've covered a lot anyway, haven't we?
Yeah, I think we've covered plenty.
Yes.
It was good to talk to you. It was good to talk to you, man, because followed you on social for a while, and I think everybody it's nice to link.
I wanted to see bodybuilding going the correct way. That's what I was. I'm a huge fan of bodybuilding before being a bodybuilder myself, and I wanted to see the new generation coming up with this kind of mindset. And I'm very, very glad, AJ, that we had you here. And I'm I would salute you for being that mature about your status today as a bodybuilder, because a lot of the guys your age won't have that kind of mindset. And they wouldn't have that kind of drive. They wouldn't so it's good to have a young ambassador in the sport as good as you, and for someone to lead the way for the youngsters.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate that. Really appreciate your guys' time as well. Thank you for having me on.
All right, guys. Guys, make sure you subscribe down there. Put in some comments, maybe some more questions. Maybe we could get AJ to come back on the show again. AJ, what's your Instagram?
Sure. So it's just AJ Morris _. And then if you want to reach out and inquire about anything or check out my site, it's just madebyMorrisCoaching.com.
There you are. Give this guy a good follow. Show some love. John Lofthouse, IFBB Pro as usual, and myself, the Dictator. Thanks, guys, for watching. Keep tuned.